The 9001 Podcast.
Do you really believe your own hype that much? I am the hype!
Hey everyone, welcome to the 9001 Podcast. Today is February 1st, 2015. My name is Wilson, and I'm joined today by Randall.
Hola, amigos.
And Lane.
Hey everybody.
Over the next few episodes, we're experimenting with segments and trying to get a feel for what works best with the show. Be sure to drop us a line at 9001podcast@gmail.com if you have any feedback on that. Alright, let's do this. Starting off with a section called Rapid Fire. The aim is to tell you what we're playing in a minute or less. And I'll start. I picked up Ridiculous Fishing on the Play Store the other day. It's a mobile fishing game. It's pretty fun. I mean, all you do really is sink your bobber as far down into the depths as you can without hitting a fish. Once you hit a fish, your line pulls all the way back up, and then you fling all the fish that you caught on your line in the air, and you tap them and kill them.
Oh, dude, that's almost exactly like what we were talking about however long ago that we were going to make.
Yep. Wasn't this the inspiration almost? Or like close to?
Well, yeah, like I had an idea for a fishing game a while back, and then there's a game called Radical Fishing that was out.
Yeah, it's like Donkey Kong Fishing on the Game Boy, if you ever played that.
Yeah.
Right.
Good times.
Oy. Alright. Randall, what are you playing?
I'm playing a game called Styx, Master of Shadows. It's a stealth action-adventure type game. It's kind of a mix between Assassin's Creed and Thief in the sense that it's not as, just run through as Assassin's Creed is, but not as realistic or so as, like, Thief is. I'm really enjoying it. Got a pretty good storyline, inventive gameplay. You've got some stuff that you don't normally see in stealth games. Worth a check if you're into those kind of games. And, yeah, that's what I've been playing with pretty much.
Dang, you guys are going way under a minute here.
Dude, keep it rapid, all right?
I know. I'll start mine off then. And by the way, I'm sick, so that's why my voice probably sounds really odd. Anyway, I've been playing GTA 5 a lot, and I played a good bit of the story, but mostly I've been playing online recently, and it's extremely enjoyable, the online modes, even if there isn't really a goal to any of it. Seriously, so far, the only goal that I can surmise from the online of GTA 5 right now is having the coolest car you can possibly have. And it takes quite a while to get money, and it takes quite a while to get enough to buy the really nice, expensive cars. So the only thing I can really take from that is I want a 10-car garage of supercars. That's probably going to take me 2 months, but maybe I'll get there. And
So are you like selling yourself on the corner or something of that game, Lane? Is that how you make money?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what I thought.
All right, well, that does it for me.
All right. Well, that was the rapid fire. So, moving on to the Ice Climber topic for this week. Sony has announced a Bloodborne PS4 bundle, and this is a game that's hot on Randall's radar, so I figured we'd talk a little bit about it. Randall, are you going to be getting this bundle here?
Hell no, I'm not getting this bundle because I have your PS4 here, and I'm just going to use that.
Ouch.
And I'm excited though that it's getting a bundle. That means that they think it's popular enough for the masses to want to buy like a PS4 with it just for that game, I guess. And for me, and I think a lot of other people, this is like the first game that's going to be on the PS4 that makes it worth getting. So. Like
a console exclusive that's really like a it's a console pusher.
Yeah, it's a console pusher. And there may be a point later where it transitions to another console or something because Demon's Souls was initially on PlayStation 3 only.
On Sono, yeah.
Sono. Yeah, Wilson.
Excellent.
Sono. Jesus.
Love that place.
Yeah, fucking Sono. Anyway, but then they made Dark Souls, and then those are all cross-platform. So we'll see what happens with this. But for now, it's exclusive, and I'm excited to see how everybody likes it, and mostly how I like it.
And this is going to coincide with the March 25th launch of the game?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, I'm not 100% on that, but I wouldn't see why it wouldn't.
Okay, yeah, I double-checked that. But here's my question to you, though. Would you have picked up this bundle if the PS4 was not just the typical black PS4 console? Like, say they did, like, a special edition, like, Bloodborne
maybe,
console.
dude. I, really shouldn't be spending that kind of money, but I probably would, dude. Me and Wolfen actually both dropped some money on some Magic cards, so we're not in the position to be haggling around with that kind of money, but I might.
Yeah.
Dear Lord.
Yeah, I was just curious because, it's like from a marketing standpoint. It makes the console like a little less accessible, right? Because not everybody wants a Bloodborne PS4. Some people just want a PS4.
Yeah.
But then there's obviously the niche audience that loves Bloodborne and the Souls games, and they probably do want a badass PS4.
Yeah, and I think those PS4 things will probably appeal more to the people that want that badass thing anyway, though. Because at this point, probably a good amount of people that have PS4s have them anyway.
But why not like a blood red PS4?
That's what I'm saying.
Not
It would probably be
like-
better off as that, I think.
Yeah.
Why not like a skin or something instead of going all in?
A skin? Oh, like you could buy a skin?
Yeah, I mean, there's options.
they're there.
I
Like,
think
yeah.
we're almost too early in the console cycle to be starting thinking about like different consoles. And I know that's kind of stupid to say, but seriously, the only thing that's been different about any of them is we have a couple white ones at this point, and we have there's a white PS4, right?
Yeah,
Right. That's one we have.
That's one we have.
And there's also a white Xbox One, and I'm not 100% sure if you can get that one anymore. I think it was just for day one stuff.
And there's the throwback PS4, right? The retro color.
Yeah, and they're making a Borderlands Xbox Xboner, right? Yeah.
I haven't heard of that. But
yeah, they're making an Xbox Boner because they're making the Awesome Edition or whatever of the new Borderlands. Or it's like the prequel and 2, I think, in a bundle.
Yeah, and then all the DLC and stuff.
Yeah, I don't remember what it is, but yeah, it'll be $400 and you get an Xbox and then the Awesome thing, whatever it is, Xbox.
You know this because you were just recently looking, I assume?
Yeah, it was like moderately recent. Oh, the Handsome Collection. That's it. Boys and Gals.
I actually was going to say that, and I didn't because I was like, wow, that sounds ridiculous. It probably isn't that.
Yeah, the Handsome Collection. And you can just buy the game that has the Handsome Collection of the Borderlands games, or you can buy the Xbox, whatever. And I'm not sure when they're going to, like sell that, because I know it's not for pre-order yet. And it's like it's 5,000 consoles that are going to be sent out.
$5,000.
All right. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I would buy that. I'm not the biggest Borderlands fan.
And you like Borderlands. It's for the people who have a 360, love Borderlands, and want to upgrade, pretty much.
Yeah. There are some diehards out there.
There are plenty of diehards out there. I live again, not very far from their headquarters, and believe me, there are enough diehards here to fill out all of those 5,000.
Well, we've got some really interesting news regarding Gearbox a little later in the show, but for now we're going to move over to a section called The Release of the Week. And this is just a game that came out in the past week that kind of popped up on someone's radar. And for this week it's going to be a game called Life is Strange. So, I don't know how many of you guys have heard about this game, but it's a title coming out from Don't Nod Entertainment. I think they're a French developer who is published by Square Enix, of all things. They made a game called Remember Me a while back. But this game is, I don't know, there's some crazy headline that was like, Life is Strange is when The Walking Dead meets Gone Home plus time travel. And after watching a 20-minute playthrough of the game, that's pretty accurate. It's an episodic game, and I mean, it's an adventure game. I mean, all you really do is kind of walk around and make choices, and you have obviously a little gameplay here and there, but it's really about interacting with the world.
Yeah, I watched. Oh, go ahead, Lane. I'll let you take this.
No, I mean, I was pretty much going to say the same thing as you. I mean, I watched a little bit of it, not much. I've seen some trailers here and there, but I've been hearing a lot of random little hype around it, and it definitely gives me like a sort of almost a Gone Home vibe, because everything seems really
angsty.
Yeah, angsty and sort of handwritten. Everything seems like it's been gone out of the way to place it there as, diegetic, as almost as real and worldly as possible. Mm-hmm. And that can be good, but it can also kind of give you away. So I'd need to play it to formulate an actual opinion about it.
Right, and just to set up some context, essentially you, the player, play as Max, a photography senior who saves her old friend Chloe by, well, here's a spoiler, discovering she can rewind time.
Well then.
So,
yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah, all I got from the trailer really was that she's got some little mystical powers. It seems super angsty, like everyone else said here. I mean, I just felt like I was taken back to my teenage years a little bit.
Don't you love it? Did you want to pop in some
they
good
felt
Charlotte?
very, punk rockish,
What?
Like I imagine that they all listened to Linkin Park, on their drives home.
they actually have like a really cool title sequence where they drop the title and Square Enix obviously. They do like, that huge artistic framing where like a character is like pushed to the right third or even fourth of the screen, and then you see, Square Enix made this or published this game. You're like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
And then you hear Linkin Park in the background.
No, I'm not kidding. There's actually a point where it's not Linkin Park, but they do. The title sequence is accompanied by some song that's actually a licensed title music, I think.
Oh really?
Does it give you the same vibe?
It was like, it was more like, I think it was more like alternative rock, but yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, this game's coming out on all the platforms pretty much besides Nintendo. PS4, PS3, Xboner, Xbox 360, and obviously on Steam. So, well, not obviously, but, anybody who wants to make headlines would put a game on Steam for the PC niche story crowd.
Yep.
So, I don't know. I think I'm going to be picking up this game. It's $5 per episode, and there's 5 episodes, or you can, and only episode 1 is out right now, by the way, which is like 2 hours of gameplay for some, probably more for others, and less for even other people.
Yeah, or you can pay up front for like 20.
Yeah, you can get the season pass for 20.
That was just a guess, boys. Look at me on the ball.
Randall, there are a few marketing positions open at Square Enix if you want
to. Yeah, they could use my expert advice, obviously.
Well, at least for the North America team.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know.
We'll see how it unfolds.
Yeah,
honestly.
We'll see.
I'm just so tempted to buy it straight up. I'm just hoping there's going to be a sale sometime so I could buy it for like $15. But I think I'll probably buy it before the sale. So if I play it, I will report back.
All right.
We're going to go ahead and move to the bulletin board. This is all the other news that's kind of we've collected for the week that we want to share with you guys. And the first on the list is about Gearbox. Anthony Birch was the lead writer for the Borderlands games. He has left the building. He is no longer going to be working at Gearbox. And interestingly enough, he will be the lead writer on Freddie Wong's new series.
What series?
That'll be.
Oh, it's not new. It's Video Game High School, but they're releasing it on Hulu or whatever. And
yeah,
but he's going to be a lead writer for that.
I thought Video Game High School was over. Okay, I have seen all of that except the last 2 episodes of the 3rd season, and it was supposed to end at the 3rd season.
Yeah, so they're doing something with that. I'm not sure what exactly, but that's what it was.
Well, Jesus, now I feel stupid. Fuck.
Yeah, I just think Randall brought up a really good point when we were talking about this before the show. Like, Anthony Birch he didn't do anything directly with video games, but then became lead writer at Gearbox.
That was me, jerk off.
No, we were talking before the show, before you got
it doesn't count. I said it, most recently. Ha!
All right, most recent.
Most recent goes to Lana Rue.
Yep, exactly.
All right.
Ha.
Kudos, sir.
Thanks. Ha. I actually, speaking of Anthony Birch, I got the chance to see him at my school. He came and talked to us up there. He's a really cool dude, and he was very upfront about the fact that he had done absolutely nothing involving video games until they were like, hey, you're pretty funny. Want to come write this thing? And
you're pretty punny. Huh.
Wow. Jesus.
So
and it's worth noting that he only did Borderlands 2, and I don't think he had anything to do with the pre-sequel. Did he?
Well, Borderlands 2 was the best written, so.
Yeah, it was. But I mean, if you think he wrote both, and then you play Borderlands 1 and you play Borderlands 2, and you think he wrote both, you're gonna think he went through some spiritual change in between.
Oh yeah.
Right. That's a good point to make. Yeah. That he did write Borderlands 2.
Hey, holy crap! If he wrote 1 and then 2,
yeah, that'd be very weird, wouldn't it?
Wow.
Change.
That's called serotonin.
If you the viewer out there doesn't know what I'm talking about, Borderlands 1 has one of the worst stories of any video game of all time, as far as I'm concerned. It had good lore, it was a pretty cool idea, but
it's all about
the writing's horrible.
No story. It was there was no writing. It was just words.
I mean, it was mostly just about the gameplay for sure. I mean,
yeah.
I feel like it was also about the art style, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, they really brought that home. So
it's so interesting how Borderlands essentially tacked that on, and it ended up being one of the focal points of the series. Not necessarily tacked that on, but it was a semi-last minute change. They were
the art style.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're gonna be like
it was
realistic
supposed to be realistic.
Games.
Yeah.
Realistic AF, yeah.
I'm so glad
they were just kidding, and now it's a hallmark of the series.
I think it's interesting though, because when you actually hear what some other people think about the writing in Borderlands, some people are pretty hateful about it. They just don't enjoy it at all. They think it's not funny at all.
I think it's
And other people love it.
I think it's just people, like, outside of their element, they're not into that kind of thing, so they're hating on it because they're not interested in that kind of thing. That's like me, like, hating on Bollywood films because I'm not interested in that culture. That's retarded. I wouldn't do that. It doesn't make any sense.
Right. I feel like most people get it and enjoy it. I mean, it's over the top, right?
Very,
I think
that's the whole
probably...
point.
It's also very crude. Like, most of the humor in that
yeah.
is pretty low. Not most of it, but a good portion of it is pretty lowball, and that's okay in tasteful use, which he did. He used it in, sparing amounts, but I can definitely see how that put some people off. And I don't think he wrote the pre-sequel, did he? That was off to... Who did pre-sequel?
Yeah, I think that was someone else. I'm not sure who, though.
I'm not sure. And also, there's a lot of referential humor, too.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is the calling card, so we know a little bit about that. Yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up my thoughts on Anthony Burchin leaving Gearbox. He's going to be going back. I guess when you're a writer, you don't really care about... When you're truly a writer, like, the industry doesn't matter as much as long as you're writing, and maybe he felt like working on, like, more traditional production was more his style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
I'm curious, though. I'm trying to look up the writer. It looks like he did work on it.
Oh, well, there you go.
He worked on it as a compliment to 2K Australia's, according to the Wikipedia page. So he had some part in it. And I can see that because it seemed to have a lot of the same humor. I've seen gameplay. I've watched some people play it, etc. And, I mean, the humor seemed mostly intact from the first game, or second game. And obviously you can carry some of that over with a different writer, but I don't know. I can see his mark on it a little bit. Anyway.
Cool. Wow. All right. So, in other news, Apex 2015 went through some serious venue swap and drama leading up to that. So basically, Apex is like the big it's the big fighting game tournament place, right?
It's one of them. I'd say
Yeah.
Evo's still the biggest, but Apex probably is second biggest.
Apex and, my second.
I think Apex is bigger for Melee in particular, though.
Well, I mean, I have no idea really because Smash Brothers really hasn't been like, it's been a mainstream fighting game for a while. And I could be a little wrong here, but to my knowledge, Nintendo really hasn't been okay with Smash being like a game in tournaments for quite some time. And just like last year or something like that, they officially started letting people, play it for streams, etc. So I'm not really sure where Apex sits in that because I haven't watched Apex that much before. I think I watched it a little last year, but yeah, you could be right. But Melee, Smash Bros, really sensitive subject when it comes to Nintendo and fighting game tournaments.
Right. Yeah, Nintendo's just pretty rough about their proprietary companies at their core.
Their whole livelihood is all of their products, and if they start separating it out to other people, that's limiting their own demographic of people.
Yeah. And you know what? I think this is a little telling of Nintendo. When they did bring it to EVO, I believe they had a very large part in it. They might have funded the prize pool specifically for that, had their name on it, something like that. They had a part in actually bringing it there and having it played. I think that's very telling of Nintendo, especially over the last, few years. And and I don't know if we talk about this, but we probably should. Nintendo's little video thing that they're doing, basically to have...
to cut out small streamers?
Yeah, sort of, kind of. I think Nintendo's very big on having themselves a part of the process when it involves their games because, again, like Randall said, it's their stuff and they really don't want it screwed with.
Yeah.
And we might want to talk about that. I don't know. We can just talk about that a little bit in 9001 or something.
Right. Well, just to cover Apex really quickly, the event had some serious complications, and cancellation ultimately was avoided by the venue being moved because fire marshals deemed the venue unsafe. So there was oh man, I don't know. I guess there's a chance for people to get in some serious harm with falling rubble or building integrity.
Yes,
yeah, I think the building was poorly made. There's too many people in there, a whole bunch of issues.
Yes, the parking garage that was part of the building actually was collapsing. There was a section of the parking garage that had already collapsed. So it's a good thing that they, stopped that.
Right. Even the hotel manager apparently got arrested for negligence. So anyway, it looks like Apex still went off without a hitch after that. they moved to another venue at the Garden State Convention Center in New Jersey, in Somerset.
Yeah, really impressive. They worked that out.
Yeah, dude, that's very quick thinking for, obviously they're not I wouldn't call them slackers or anything, but, they're not a multi-billion-dollar company or anything. It's hard to do something like that just to get another venue set up, I think.
Yeah,
well, it's one thing having a rainy day location in mind and then actually having to execute it. So
I mean, according to the Twitter posts I was reading, it seemed like Twitch had a little, like the company Twitch had a good amount of, they helped quite a bit in doing that.
That's pretty cool.
I believe it.
Yeah, I believe it.
They help him figure out the next venue, and they actually got buses and stuff to get the competitors from the one venue they were at to the new one. So, yeah, props to Twitch for giving a crap.
Yeah. Also, just a quick clarification, that Hulu series that Anthony Birch is going to be lead writing, it is unannounced. Like that, this is a new original series. This is not Video Game High School.
Okay. I guess the thing just said from Freddie Wong, who made VGA.
Right.
It's from Freddie Wong, though.
It's going to be a long-form comedy series.
Yeah, that excites me considerably.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a partnership between among Lionsgate and Rocket Jump and Hulu. So
that's pretty legit. All right.
With Anthony Birch at the writing helm. So there you go. In other not so great news, Rooster Teeth shot out an announcement a couple days ago about Monty has been hospitalized. He is a really well-known animator, and it's just some sort of medical emergency. So he's been hospitalized, and it's not clear whether or not he will recover from whatever has happened. So
yeah, they said it was some sort of critical situation, like some sort of critical illness. He's in intensive care, maybe not intensive care, but some sort of critical care. Basically, we just hope he gets better.
Yeah, right. It's pretty scary though, from the way that when people go to the hospital, you just say what's his face has had an accident, but we're hoping that he'll get well soon. But they straight up said we're not sure that he's going to recover.
Yeah,
it's
so sudden too. I mean,
and you have to assume they're being optimistic.
Yeah. I hope so.
Right.
They haven't said what it is, and it just makes you think, holy crap, I hope he's gonna be all right.
Right. And best wishes to Monty and everyone at Rooster Teeth. There's a GoFundMe that Rooster Teeth put up, and it raised $165,000 in a day.
Yeah. The Rooster Teeth community is nothing short of ridiculous, man.
They're all givers.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime they do it, like any sort of driver, like for Rooster Teeth, like side quests, when they work with, any sort of nonprofit, it's amazing. So,
yeah. And I mean, they all want to see him come back and finish Ruby because he was there. Rooster Teeth took a chance on a show that I think Monty or some other guys came up with, which is essentially an anime style show done all through 3D animation. And for those of you who don't really know Monty, he is insanely good at animating fight scenes. He's not the best at animating other things, but
he's legendary with his fighting choreography,
amazing.
Right?
Amazing. Yes, it is so good. And you should go watch Ruby. The more recent Red versus Blue stuff has some of his marks on it, but he was really getting better. The first season was more of, kind of exploring for him. He needed to know what he could do, so he went out there. This season has been markedly improved, and so it's really exciting to see that build up, and then really depressing to see this sort of fall. So people want to see him come back and finish that, and everybody hopes he's going to be okay. So fingers crossed.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely wishing him all the best. And finally, we've got some news about Joystick. Has been shut down. Apparently, AOL kind of had holding in the company, and they shut down Joystick as part of, I guess, a clearing. They didn't want to have anything to do with any type of coverage in that industry. And this also means that Massively is shut down as well.
Man, I didn't even know about this.
So a couple of news outlets.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I wonder. I don't know. I mean, I guess there's not a crazy amount of revenue in a media source like that, but I never thought they did poorly or anything. I knew Joystick existed. It's better than I can say for a lot of sites like that. So
Definitely would have
Yeah.
respected them for like their reviews and opinions. I mean, I'm not a freaking visitor to their website, but whenever Joystick's opinion came up with reviews, I weighted it heavily.
Right.
Just for
Yeah. It's just interesting. I mean, I guess, there's a lot of game in town when it comes to video game journalism these days.
Jesus, yes.
So, anyway, that about wraps up the bulletin board. We're going to move over to the 9001. This is a discussion where we pick a topic and kind of go overboard with it. Today marks the Super Bowl for everybody in the United States and anyone else who's interested in watching. And I just always think it's interesting to think about, well, sports are really popular and they're a huge part of, the culture here in the United States. I wonder, is there ever going to be a Super Bowl for games, and has it already happened?
That's a... I don't know. I think, like, for one thing, people will never be... And not to say that people aren't, like, huge fans and, like, aren't dedicated to, gaming sports, but I don't think people will ever be quite as adamant about gaming sports as they are about, football or something, because I think gaming sports are a lot more about having fun in a lot of ways. And, football and the like, people get really upset about it. Like, I have friends who get, like, legitimately upset about, their games when their team loses, And that's not something I see quite as much in the gaming community. Their team might lose, but it's not like the end of the world for them. So I don't think, even if it was as big, you wouldn't hear about it as much because it's just not pronounced as much by the community, if that makes sense.
That is fair. I mean,
yeah.
We already have our own sort of... Well, okay, we don't really have our Super Bowl because we don't really have a sport. God, okay, I'm just backtracking all over myself. But League of Legends is probably the biggest.
Yeah, it would be like it'd be like football.
It is sort of the football of video games. There are a lot of things that are pretty close. Like Dota could be basketball, and I mean CS:GO could be baseball or something. But I think it's safe to say that League of Legends pretty much is the football of it. And in that regard, we have a Super Bowl. We definitely have something that's just as big, and that's the League of Legends World Series. And it garners hundreds of millions, and I mean, like 100 million plus unique viewers. Am I right in that? Or no? 100 million is for the Super Bowl. The 11.2 million is how many watched Samsung Galaxy versus Star and Royal Club last year, which was the League of Legends Championship match.
And are those world count, or is that United States count?
That's world count.
Okay.
Because believe me, a lot more people watch it over in Korea and Japan than do here.
Oh yeah.
On a steady basis. So we already have that, but I don't know if we could really call that like a parallel to the Super Bowl, because I mean you can draw that parallel between the games, but the Super Bowl means so much more than just...
Yeah, that's what it is, right? It means a lot more, I think.
Yeah.
And you can't make something digital mean as much, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or to most people, anyway.
So the real question is, what do we necessarily equivocate to a Super Bowl, or are we just looking for... Honestly, I would really prefer having like an Olympics for video games, and not specifically the Olympics, which I'll get to that in just a moment. But, a thing where a bunch of different players go to one place from all sorts of different places in the world and all play a bunch of different video games against each other. That sounds amazing, and that would be great.
Oh, yeah.
That would be my Super Bowl of games.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. I just think it's interesting. I mean, if you look at the numbers, I guess, for other events, I mean, even the Super Bowl is not like that watched. Like, the World Cup final is like hyper watched, like over 700 million viewers.
Oh yeah,
so,
I mean, you do have to take into consideration that that's the entire world versus
right.
a very condensed country.
Right.
But.
So I guess I'm wondering, like, so esports, like, do they ever have the potential, like, as like people are shifting more towards like a variety of interests with how they spend their free time other than sports?
I don't know.
Do you see, like, I mean, how many kids are like if you look at just like the demographic of like high school guys and girls, like how many of them are watching like football versus how many are watching Twitch on a daily basis?
Well, I mean, Twitch is also very wide, like football is like one sport, right? Twitch is like a number of games in a way. not just League of Legends or.
All right, let's say
Dota.
how many are tuning into the LCS every week for League
Right.
of Legends versus how many are watching football.
Probably way more interested in football or something. And I think until we get to the point that people want to grow up to be a LCS finalist or something, right? That's what they aspire to. Instead of I want to become an NFL player and go to the Super Bowl. I want to join Cloud9 and go all the way to the championships, right?
Right.
Until we get to that point, and until we get to the point that games aren't any kind of taboo. And we're getting to the point that games aren't really taboo anymore. And when I say taboo, I mean more so that they're cool, right? A lot of people still see games as kind of uncool in a way. And so there's going to be a demographic of people that aren't going to like it. And on top of not being cool, some people just think it's a waste of time. They don't understand it, right? So until we get a lot of these kind of negative views gone and the view of how we view the players that play the game are up to the point that they're basically viewed as professional athletes, I don't think we're going to see that change to where it's just as popular or close to as a actual sport.
Yeah, and you know what? I think it's worth mentioning real quick something that I found on the League of Legends subreddit not too long ago. It was saying that KESPA has gotten esports accepted to the second level of the Olympic Committee, one more level to go before it becomes part of the Olympics. So, yeah, it's neat, but I'm not sure what I think about,
I'm not sure why they would put that in that kind of thing, though. It's they're kind of different.
I think people just have, almost, and this is a really crude way to put it, but a fetish for validation for this, validation.
Yeah, I don't really understand the point of trying to join the two things. I think they're kind of separate entities, honestly.
It really needs to
fine.
be. Seriously, if esports ends up in the freaking Olympics, we're going to be laughed out of the world. People are going to judge the crap out of us, and people have always done that, and that's fine. But we would rather be progressive and move or I would rather us be progressive and move at a slower pace, get more people to understand, hey, this isn't a freaking joke, than suddenly, one year, frickin' League of Legends is next up on the Olympic plate, and you're sitting there laughing in your seat because you can't understand why anyone would do that. So, yeah, this is my 2 cents on that.
I'm thinking that it's, the Koreans are going to be hyper well represented, and they'll just dominate that event. So it'll help out their overall Olympics.
And it would be interesting to have, national teams. I would love to see a U.S. team, and we do have that with All-Stars and stuff, but to see them play it out again would be really nice.
My question now, just randomly, is are there ever any injuries during esports, finger spasms? Is that a thing?
Injuries are a thing, but I mean it's mostly injuries that you get outside of playing.
Yeah,
well, that's a long term.
Up the stairs or something.
Yeah, anything
blood clots
that hurts your body when you're not playing counts as an injury, I think. And anything that makes it to where you can't play is also valid on that.
Dang, dude.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, are there any other games besides League of Legends that you guys feel are kind of going to be touching that point of ubiquitous status,
Dota 2 is right on the heels.
Dota 2 is right there. Actually, because I was looking at Twitch today, and their views are skyrocketing compared to what I normally see for their little tournament they have.
Yeah, there's a tournament today.
Yeah, whatever their thing is, I don't know what it is, unfortunately.
But that's it's an off day for League and a full on day for Dota.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
and and this is telling, honestly, and this used to upset me for no particular reason because, I'm a diehard League fan, and I don't actually hate Dota, but I sort of hate Dota because, it competes with League, one of those kind of things. I don't actually hate it. It's totally fine. But I used to, when I was 2 or 3 years ago, not 2 or 3 years, maybe a year ago, I used to be Dota, get out of here. Only League of Legends is allowed to be at the top. And it actually makes me happy now to see that or to see those two mix it up because that's great. It's awesome to have more than one game at the top all the time. And speaking of which, Apex right now, they're playing Smash Brothers.
Are they? They were last night too, and I was watching them.
Yeah, it's up on the top 10 right now.
Dude, I need to stop playing Smash online, dude. Some of those people play way too much, man. I can't compete. Makes me feel like shit.
Yeah, sorry about it.
I don't need an ego depressor. I don't need any help with that.
Dang, somebody sounds pretty salty.
So yeah, Hearthstone, I guess, is sort of worth mentioning. I'm not.
Oh, Hearthstone, yeah.
I think about Hearthstone because it's a freaking card game, and yeah, that's been done about 1,000,000 times now. But I don't know. There are a good selection of games that could possibly populate this Olympic status if we wanted to have a good rounded selection. But getting there is going to be difficult, and earning the credibility is going to be difficult. But we've made leaps and bounds over the last few years for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it really kind of the breakdown here is it's going to be a while before we see games.
Yeah, definitely. I think
get bigger. I mean, it is a positive trend, I think, though, that
yes.
They're getting more welcome, more ingrained into like what our culture is becoming.
Yeah, definitely.
So we do have a few spare minutes. If you guys want, we can talk about this Nintendo creator program thing, or the Lane. Maybe you could just give us a quick byline of what the heck's going on.
Sure. I'm obviously I'm not 100% storied on this, but I'll tell it to you like I remember it, which is basically Nintendo decided. There's been a big fiasco on YouTube for a while now that you can get DMCA'd on videos that are supposed to be under fair use clauses, right? Because basically companies can, say that this is our copyright and your claim will be, removed immediately. Your video is put on hold until you can prove that, you're using that legally. Well, to circumvent this in the past, or not in the past, right now, Nintendo is saying, hey, you can use our games, all of our new games, any of our games, in your videos if you go through us with our new sort of video service, which is their video, not necessarily video service. I guess it is. Basically, you send them your videos that you make that have to do with their games, they approve it, and then you get a percentage of the advertising revenue for that. So that's cool.
God.
The only problem is I believe it's 60-40 split your way, I think, and then there's another split for something else. But the reason people don't like it is because it's adding another layer of crap on YouTube and limiting what you can actually do with their games in a way that it is, seriously, for every single video you want to do, you have to submit it to them. So if you're a consistent content creator, or you want to do like a Let's Play of Smash Brothers or something like that, that stuff's going to be significantly delayed because they could take, 5 freaking days, and that's no mind to them. They don't care. A lot of people don't like it. I know PewDiePie is one of the most outspoken about it, but it's definitely a little more limiting, and it's not a trend that anyone wants to see. So I think people are making a stink because they don't want other people to do it.
I think it's kind of upsetting because, first off, people already buy the product, right? If you're playing their game, you bought the product. I'm assuming most people haven't gone out of the way to get an illegal copy, right?
Yeah.
So you've already supported them in in one way or form, right? So I don't know. I think Nintendo going the way to do this is probably not a positive look for them. And
it's definitely cutthroat business. I mean, it's their creators program. If you're a YouTube person that wants to monetize video content, you can do it, but Nintendo takes out 30 to 40% of the cash from the money you generate.
Yeah, and I mean that's good in a way because it means they're not necessarily going to be taking everything for themselves anymore. Because when YouTube about a year ago did its big crackdown, and
right, that was crazy.
That was absolutely catastrophic. And around that time, a lot of companies started just completely harnessing the ad revenue from people's videos because they didn't want them to be doing that anymore apparently. So this is an avenue for Nintendo to sort of be giving back, but it's a little contrived and it doesn't seem like it's set up very well. But we'll obviously have to see how it plays out. But people just don't seem to be okay with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure. I mean, and this is pretty recent, so I'm sure we'll be hearing some more fallout about it. But PewDiePie, pretty notable YouTube personality, did speak out against Nintendo. Basically, that the Nintendo games were going to be at the bottom of his list to play.
Yeah.
I mean that's what happens though if you alienate yourself like that as a company. So
Apparently,
Right.
it right here for Wii U alone. Apparently, Bayonetta 2, Hyrule Warriors, Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, and Super Smash Brothers are all missing from the list of games you can do this on. So, their most popular games are still going. Their currently most popular games are still going to be 100% Nintendo. So,
Jesus.
yeah, it's seriously just jumping through hoops to try and get something out of Nintendo for making stuff for their games. And this is something that's been going on forever. It's almost like an identity crisis. Like,
It seems like it's the wrong way to go about it, too, though. Because
Yeah.
doesn't that just
Yeah.
limit your publicity at that
And
point?
the-
And they need all the
these
help they can
people-
get. So.
yeah, these people are literally making content for your videos. And yeah, there's the occasional person who makes a video like review, I hate this game, it is literally cancer. But there are people out there who are seriously making Let's Plays and, reviews and just guide videos for these games. That is so much freaking free publicity.
Yeah, and they don't have to do any of the work.
Yeah, and it's Bayonetta 2, Hyrule Warriors, Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, Smash Brothers. Those are all games you're trying to sell right now because they're all current. People out there are playing those, making guides for them, making videos for them, any of that stuff, and all of that is going essentially to naught. They're doing free work for you, and that is scummy, man. That is really scummy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the one of the takeaways here is that, like, if a company doesn't value this type of, like, free labor that we're talking about, I mean, it's also like I think it is like they do have kind of a right to do it. It is their stuff.
Yeah, it is. And I don't think I've ever really considered it in that manner until, just now, that it's essentially people doing some of the work for them. They probably take it for granted at this point, almost most of the game developers. People are gonna go out there and make videos about your stuff because there are people on YouTube who need to make a living out of these videos. And I don't know. It is absolutely their property, and they're 100% at right to do that.
Oh, yeah, they can do what they want to.
I don't think making everything more difficult or alienating your, customer base is necessarily a good idea.
Right. I think that the main thing is also, it's like a kind of a subjective element we're thinking about of, like, having the ability to, like, see people play a game makes you more interested in buying it, and also it kind of builds a better wide community around games.
Yep.
Like, I think those things are not as objective for a company.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah. It's not something that those top execs are going to be thinking about. Like, if these people go on YouTube, are they going to make people want to buy our game? And then they think of the stuff that they're doing. They think specifically of their advertising campaigns or their, the stuff that they make that promotes their game.
Right. My thing is, I would just like to see kind of like some real numbers. It's always hard to see how much money streamers make.
Very much.
I mean, sometimes some of them will tell the truth. Some of them can, you can say whatever you want. But I would like to see, what happens if, like, I mean, obviously the small streamers are going to have a hard time cutting any cash. Like, if you make $50 on a video, I don't know if that's how you do it, but you make $50 and you lose, I don't know,
15 or so of that.
Yeah, it's not. I guess it's not too sustainable.
It's not too bad, and that's again, this is a step in the right direction. I think this is a good idea. Something like this is going to work because this is a nice middle ground between, hey, screw you, and hey, you can do whatever you want. And we've been doing the hey, whatever you want for years, and then suddenly YouTube was like, hey, screw you. So nice that somebody is getting their foot in the door. That said, it really doesn't seem like people are that thankful because they think they're still getting screwed because, again, the big games are all missing from that list.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And I guess the other thing is, Nintendo's, like Lane was kind of hinting at earlier, they're kind of an old-fashioned company, when it comes to, like, the big three of, Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo.
Oh, yeah.
Nintendo still has some pretty old-school tactics, and, just ever so recently we've seen DLC happen for Nintendo, which is like...
Was Mario Kart 8 the first DLC they did?
As far as I know, yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
That might not be 100% true, but holy crap. Nintendo is seriously like one of the last bastions of...
They're a bit of a holdout.
Yeah, of like classic... I don't know if you can call it classic, but classic game design, which is, quality, polished game.
I mean, you release a game and that's a fucking game, right?
Yeah. It's not like, you pay for it and you get a day one update that fixes all the major bugs that were in it. I mean, they might still do that, but again, over and over, I keep seeing this, and it just sort of validates my thoughts on it. it seems like Japanese, Korean, any of those game producers in that part of the world seem to be really committed to the idea of a finished, complete, polished game. And over here in North America, it's a little more difficult to pull that out of somebody right now. So I really respect how Nintendo and all those other companies deal with their games and their game development, because, by God, they release finished games.
Right. Well, and I think part of it just comes down to the work culture.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if you think about the number of, like, legendary game designers from that part of the world versus legendary game designers and, like video game developer celebrities in the United States, like, there's very much, like, a me mentality versus, like, a us mentality.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
So much.
So,
And I remember talking about this last week, how it was remarkable to me how their offices essentially looked so bare compared to ours. In our gaming culture, it's like cubicles that are personalized and, you know, darker areas with mood lighting and stuff like that. Their places are seriously white freaking brick rooms with white desks and computers. And there's nothing around them. And I was just watching a thing on IGN where they went to the developers of Bloodborne and were just walking around the office. And the thing is, like, everything is so unremarkable there, and I'm not sure why that is specifically, but that's crazy to me. It's so interesting. And I wonder if that has something to do with it, how everything there is pretty much the same, and no one seems to stick out more than one another until you know,
get to know him.
Yeah, exactly. And
talk to someone.
it's very interesting. How games are developed are different all over the world, and they have a much different method than the US of A, obviously.
I mean,
Go ahead.
I think the biggest difference between, you know, our method of, like, game design, their method of game design, is that, you know, we're the United States, our, like, developed stuff are here to have fun, kind of, right?
Yes.
You know, if you, like, go any, like, company around, like, game studio around the United States, you know, they're all pretty, like, laid back individuals, have a good time. You know, obviously they'll, like, get work done when they need to, but, you know, it's not a crazy, like, you know, like, I'm going to kill you atmosphere, right? It's very relaxed. Like, I don't think anyone feels too stressed usually. But if you, like you were saying, right, they have bare white offices, right? They're known for their work ethic and stuff. I think we just don't have that here. We're much more laid back, so our products, like, also maybe reflect that a little bit. So maybe that's why theirs are more polished in a way.
I think, and I know we're still sort of rambling on here, but this may have been a really good thing not too long ago, maybe 10 years ago, when we were going through our really getting into game design here in the States and stuff like that, to differentiate ourselves from over there. The idea was, you know, you need to have a more relaxed culture here, and that'd be great, because people would, you know, get things done at their pace, and the work would be quality because they weren't being rushed or something like that. And at this point, I think it's clashing, because they're being rushed, but they're still in the same sort of relaxed venue, and that, I don't know how much that necessarily has to do with it, but it potentially could be like one of the clashing things, our more relaxed nature and culture, along with super rushed deadlines these days. So
and that feeds into, I mean, just software development in general too. So
yeah, this is a very extensive topic. I'm glad we talked about it.
Yeah, it's something we'll probably end up hitting from time to time. Yeah. But at this point, we are going to close out the show. Thanks for tuning in this week. And before we do sign off, I did want to give a little bit of extra credits for you guys. So we talked about No Man's Sky last week as kind of a game we're looking forward to. And turns out the creators of the game did a podcast interview with some folks over at Game Informer. So I don't think this got a lot of coverage, but if you're interested in learning more about the game, we'll include a link to that podcast in the show notes. It's definitely worth a listen. There's a lot of good questions being answered there, and I mean, I think people are even more excited about the game after listening to it. So please feel free to shoot us any questions or comments at 9001podcast@gmail.com. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, and our website, 9001rad.io. Until next time, this has been the 9001 Podcast.
See ya.
Adios, muchachos.
I'm trying to use my, super awesome deep voice that I have right now because I'm sick.
Get out of here, Darth Vader. Okay. Nice. Good cast.